Everyone thinks they know the British seaside story. The expensive end is Cornwall, Devon, Whitstable, places where a bungalow with a sea view costs more than a terraced house in most northern cities. The other end is decline, boarded-up arcades, empty promenades, towns that lost their reason for existing when the holidaymakers stopped coming. Two categories, expensive or DIing. But there is a third category, and almost nobody is talking about it. There are coastal towns in the UK where you can still buy a property outright on a state pension, not a wreck needing £50,000 of work. A real house, a bungalow with a sea view, a semi 2 minutes from the front. Places where the co-op hasn't been replaced by a deli, where locals still outnumber visitors even in August. The UK coastline runs 11,000 miles. The property media covers about 40 of them. The rest of the story is still being written in quieter, overlooked places that have stayed affordable precisely because the world hasn't paid them enough attention yet. Here are 10 of them. Withensea sits at the end of a dead-end road off the A133, 20 miles east of Hull. No train, no bypass, no tourist infrastructure. Just a quiet seafront, a strong local community, and terraced bungalows that have sold for under £100,000, some with a sea view. Hull is where you go for hospitals and shopping. The bus runs on its own schedule. But Withensea has a lighthouse standing in the middle of residential streets because the sea has receded far enough over the centuries that what was once a coastal beacon now looks like something dropped from the sky. This place is stranger and more interesting than it sounds. If your goal is a roof, sea air, and a pension that goes the distance, Withensea is the most honest answer on this list. Go south and you find Mablethorpe on the Lincolnshire coast, a flat working-class resort the property media overlooks in favour of Skegness. Prices for semis and bungalows run from £120,000 to £150,000. It has a traditional seafront and intact local shops. The community fabric takes decades to build and can be destroyed quickly by gentrification pressure, which has not arrived here yet. The rail situation is poor and coastal erosion risk is real in parts. But the flatness that makes Mablethorpe feel overlooked also makes it excellent for getting around without a car. Wide pavements, no hills, and a compact layout mean you can manage on foot. Mablethorpe asks almost nothing of you except showing up. Head north into Northumbria, and everything shifts. Dark sand, big sky, North Sea light that photographers travel across the country to find. Between the better-known villages of Amble and Alnmouth sits Newbiggin-by-the-Sea, a former mining and fishing village with near-empty beaches, intact local pubs, and detached bungalows at prices that feel impossible by the standards of most English coastline. Newcastle is close enough that hospitals, shopping, and an international airport are within realistic reach. Amble and Alnmouth, just along the same coast, have been discovered and priced accordingly. Newbiggin is the same Northumberland coastline for a fraction of the cost. The people who found the others somehow haven't found this one yet. Millom sits at the forgotten southwestern corner of the Lake District on the Duddon estuary, backed by Blackcomb Fell. An ex-steel town, not glamorous, and inside the Lake District National Park boundary at prices a fraction of anything near Windermere. The train to Barrow is slow. The local economy is thin. But you get solitude, mountains at the back door, an estuary out front, and genuine Cumbrian landscape without the weekend crowds. People spend serious money to be near this scenery and end up with smaller properties and more neighbours. Millom offers more wilderness for dramatically less. Cross into Scotland, and Stranraer sits at the southwestern tip of Dumfries and Galloway at the head of Loch Ryan. When the ferry terminal moved to Cairn Rhian, The town lost its economic engine and has been quieter since. Property prices are low even by Scottish standards. General practitioners, supermarkets and schools still function. Scotland's free prescriptions, combined with lower council tax and lower property costs, make the pension calculation genuinely different here. The road to Dumfries is long and the rail connection is limited. But the ferry leaving is also the reason there is no tourist surge, no weekend invasion, no second home inflation. The thing that looks like the town's wound turned out to be its protection. Aberystwyth is a university town on Cardigan Bay in mid-Wales, a working promenade, the National Library of Wales, a functioning high street, an arts scene, a Welsh language alive in daily conversation, and mountains behind it. Pembrokeshire gets all the Welsh coastal attention, while Aberystwyth stays quieter and more affordable. The A44 and A487 are beautiful and slow. The train from most of England routes via Birmingham and takes most of a day. The remoteness and the affordability are the same thing. The journey in is the first test of whether you mean it. Saltburn-by-the-Sea looks like a film set, a late Victorian planned resort with a cliff-top tramway, a pier, and a grid of painted terraces east of Middlesbrough. Prices are still below equivalent towns in the south, but they are moving. Boutique coffee, independent shops, buyers arriving from further away. Beauty gets priced in, always. Saltburn is the place on this list where the clock is running fastest. Campbelltown sits at the end of the Kintyre Peninsula, 140 miles from Glasgow. The road is long, but this was once a whisky capital, and the Victorian streetscape built during that era survives intact. A working harbour, a cinema, a swimming pool, a functioning town centre at prices that would not buy a garage in parts of southern England. Whisky tourism is growing. Each visitor is potentially a future buyer. The window between left behind and discovered is still open. Filey sits between Scarborough and Flamborough Head, the quiet one, the overlooked one, old-fashioned in a way that has accidentally preserved it. Beach huts, a proper working beach, a community that holds together. Scarborough collects the attention and the price pressure just up the road. Filey offers the same coastline with less noise and prices from a slightly earlier era. Its unfashionableness is its protection, and that protection only lasts until someone writes the piece about how charming it is. And then there is Blyth, 12 miles north of Newcastle on the Northumberland coast, a post-industrial port town built on coal and shipbuilding, now a centre of the UK's offshore wind industry. The turbines are visible from the beach. Property prices remain deeply affordable, backed by Newcastle's hospitals, airport, and rail links within daily reach. The transformation is real but uneven. Blyth is investing in the country's energy future, while its housing market is still priced as if the colliery closed last week. That gap is where the window lives. 11,000 miles of coastline, 40 miles of media coverage. Affordability survives where inconvenience, industrial legacy, or unfashionableness has kept the outside world at bay. Every one of those mechanisms is temporary. Transport improves, attention arrives, buyers follow. The question is never really whether you can afford the house. It is whether you can afford to wait until you can't.